prayers.
The reading according to Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 through 5. If then there is any encouragement in Christ, any consolation from love, any sharing in the Spirit, any compassion and sympathy, make my joy complete. Be of the same mind, having the same love, being in full accord and of one mind. Do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility regard others as better than yourselves. Let each of you look not to your own interest, but to the interest of others. Let the same mind be in you that was in Christ Jesus. Philippians chapter 2, verses 1 to 5. Let us pray. Most gracious God, we give you thanks and praise, God, for your blessings upon our lives, for your goodness, your love, and your faithfulness. It is because of you, God, we are in this world, and we are forever grateful, God, to you and for being so good to all of us here as a country. That is Montserrat. The time, God, that is now with the whole world watching us, Montserrat living here in Montserrat and abroad, visitors and residents. I tune in right now, God, and pay attention to this special moment where our leaders right here in this room preparing, God, for this budget speech by the Honourable Premier with his technical team. Where, oh God, the people will be listening, oh God, and to see where they are fitting. In a time, oh God, of financial crisis, where the world now, God, is in trouble. Many are worried about their future. What to expect tomorrow, oh God. But we serve a great God, a God who provides for his own. Even though God, your servant, God, now speak. We, oh God, who are now listening, will be encouraged. Because somehow, God, every aspect of our society can be found in this budget. It affects us all in one way or the other. It will be a sense of hope and purpose to our country of Montserrat. And those who are abroad will be encouraged to come home to build our country that love us so dearly. We press him, God, into your mighty hand. You will guide him, O God, and lead him as well. And as he speaks, O God, and when the committees meet, O God, this week to discuss, O God, the main headings, O God, ideas will be shared. They will disagree and agree. But a mind will be, O God, challenged and to move their heart into action. We depend on you, O God, for your guidance. But we deal with our country, our people interest. Not our own, O God, interest, but those who are around us. We need our support and our encouragement. Bless them, not only them also, but also, God, the members of the opposition who have the part to play to challenge the plan in one way or the other. But may this come from their heart, with love in mind, the people in mind, with good intention, that together we may fulfill our mission. Bless, O God, the speaker as well, who has a part, O God, to lead, O God, this session. Give her, God, a spirit of brevity, O God, that she may lead according to your will. Bless her, O God, and send your anointing upon your servant. As all the others who have the part to play We place them, God, in your mighty hand. Holy Spirit, we welcome you in this place. Bless God of this proceeding. Bless God of our leaders. Bless our country of Montserrat. One God, one nation, one love, and one flag, now and forevermore. Amen.
Confirmation of minutes.
Honourable members, you have before you minutes number 1 of 2022, dated Tuesday, 8th February 2022. The question is that these minutes be confirmed. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, I rise to move for the confirmation of minutes number 1 of 2022, dated Tuesday, 8th February 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the confirmation of minutes number 1 of 2022, dated Tuesday, 8th of February 2022.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes number 1 of 2022, dated Tuesday, 8th February 2022, be confirmed. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. The minutes have been confirmed.
Papers to be laid on the table.
I recognize the Honourable Financial Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to lay on the table of this Honourable House the following papers appearing under the name of the Financial Secretary. Draft Budget Estimates of Revenue and Expenditure and Development Fund 2022 to 23 and 25. Montserrat Info Communications Authority, the MICA, Budget and Forward Estimates 2022 to 2023. The Montserrat Port Authority, Draft Budget 2022 to 2023. The Financial Services Commission, Budget Estimates 2022 to 2023. The Montserrat Volcano Observatory, Budget and Forward Estimates 2022 to 2023, and the Montserrat Land Development Authority, Budget and Forward Estimates 2022 and 2023. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Ministerial statements, government notices, unofficial notices, questions, motions.
I recognize the Honourable Premier and Minister of Finance.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the first reading of the bill entitled Appropriation Bill 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Health.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the first reading of the bill entitled Appropriation Bill 2022.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill shortly entitled Appropriation Bill 2022 be read a first time. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. The bill will be read a first time.
Appropriation Bill 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the suspension of the relevant order to facilitate the second reading of the bill entitled Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Your light.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the suspension of the order and the reading of the bill entitled Appropriation Bill number 2022.
It has been moved and seconded that the appropriate standing orders be suspended to facilitate the second and third reading of the Appropriation Bill 2022. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. The appropriate standing orders has been suspended. I recognize the Honourable Minister of Finance.
Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the second reading of the bill entitled Appropriation Bill 2022. Madam Speaker, I am pleased to present the budget for financial year 2022 to 2023 to this Honourable House on the occasion of its 70th year in existence. Madam Speaker, we are operating in very challenging times. And I must admit that the past few years have presented us with unusual circumstances that we had to navigate. This budget, Madam Speaker, is testament of our ability to manage in times of adversity successfully and confidently. Madam Speaker, as I reflect on the journey we traveled as a people and a government over the last 2 years, and our achievements together in spite of the pandemic, and how our people were protected during these turbulent months when COVID cases and COVID-related deaths were increasing across the world. I am reminded of a song written by Albert A. Goodson, an African-American, which states, "We have come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He never fails yet." Madam Speaker, this budget, which arrives at a moment of hope and uncertainty. Hope because, for the first time, we are seeing the world turn a corner in the fight against COVID-19 and the beginning of a return to some kind of social and economic normality. Borders are opening. Vaccination and booster rates are providing effective, and we are slowly adapting to live alongside COVID. The people of Montserrat have been patient, Madam Speaker, and a new day is approaching. Despite the pandemic pessimists, this government has not been on a standstill. Not only have we protected our people and health service from major outbreaks, but on the initiatives that matter, we have delivered. Whether it is the development of our new port, or the new 21st Century Hospital, whether it be rollout of the high-speed fiber optic broadband, the investment in our airport runway and control tower, or turbocharging of the renewable sector, or the investment in our basic infrastructure projects. My government, Madam Speaker, has been positioning Montserrat for this very moment of renewal. Whilst we must remain vigilant, we must also look to the future and plan our economic growth strategies accordingly. But it is also a moment of some significant uncertainty, a moment in which the whole world watches the events in Ukraine with great concern, not only for the future of that fragile democracy, but what it may mean for democracies elsewhere. Even if events in East Europe appear to be far away, Madam Speaker, they send ripples to the shores. The ride by all NATO has all the echoes of the very worst moments of the last century in Europe. Aftershocks from the invasion, Madam Speaker, carry huge risk for the global economy, which is making strides in its COVID-19 recovery efforts. For the first time since 2024, a barrel of crude climbed past $100 US. And if predictions hold true, may rise to as high as $130 US. Countries across the region, as well as Montserrat, have been introducing initiatives to encourage the diversification of our economies as much as possible. Constraints to economic performance will all arise due to the changing climate. The region must therefore prepare for the possibility of exacerbation, losses, and destruction caused by natural disaster, as was seen with the volcanic eruption in one of our neighboring states last year. Experts warn that these calamities will be more frequent and disastrous. Climate action, climate risk management, and unsustainable financing must go together. And sustainable financing must go together. Madam Speaker, persistent increases in global commodity prices are expected to create headwinds during this recovery for the ECCU and the Caribbean at large. This calls for heightened attention to food security and real action to de-escalate the implications for consumers. The Caribbean region depends heavily on imports, especially food, of which most are net importers. Consequently, Madam Speaker, the rising food prices will worsen their balances of trade positions. With depressed tourism sectors and failing economies due to the pandemic, food security is deeply threatened by any major disruption, impacting the region since we are extremely vulnerable to these external shocks. Sadly, Madam Speaker, international food and feed prices could rise by as much as 20% as a result of the unrest in Ukraine and Russia. The vulnerable will be negatively impacted as nutritional levels will be compromised due to a switch to more affordable products with less nutritional value. Health will be adversely affected in the long run. This is why, Madam Speaker, our government will continue its effort to boost local food production, which my colleagues will expose as we enter the debate. uncertainty continues to loom over the growth prospects of our island. Through responsible public health and adherence to protocols by the majority of our people, we have kept Montserrat safe in uncertain times and therefore limit more severe economic impact. In keeping with the global and regional prospects, the growth rate for this year is expected to be between 3% and 4%, while momentum builds. Excuse me, Madam Speaker. This positive resurgence in economic growth will be driven primarily by development in the construction, transport and communication, and public administration sectors. An uptick in construction of 4 to 5% is expected as the implementation of the port project is underway. This is the largest post-volcanic infrastructure project for the island, which provides a more efficient and resilient port facility. Port operations will be improved, downtime will be reduced due to growth rates of 5% and 3% are anticipated for each sector respectively. With the borders reopening and COVID-19 protocols and restrictions reduced, visitors' hesitancy regarding travel will continue to wane. I will take this time to highlight, Madam Speaker, that over 46% of the eligible population is fully vaccinated, 46%. We could not have achieved this without the invaluable commitment and support of our healthcare and frontline workers. Thank you on behalf of the government and people of Montserrat. Montserrat was not spared the devastating effects of the pandemic. Government took the decision, Madam Speaker, to close our borders to tourist traffic for 18 months, only reopening on October 1st, 2021. This closure, Madam Speaker, has had very telling results on the destination's performance for the period from January to December 2021. Montserrat recorded 1,597 visitor arrivals, which represents an 81% decrease from the same period in 2020. Even more poignantly, this translates into a massive 92% decline when compared to the same period in 2019, the last year when travel was normal and the first time that Montserrat recorded over 20,000 visitors since the volcano erupted. This means, Madam Speaker, that for this period, none of our tourism stakeholders had a steady flow of business as the traditional means of earning a living, with the accommodation and transportation sector enduring the most of that fallout. Government intervened during the height of the crisis to offer support to businesses and individuals in the sector. We will also provide initiatives to individuals and businesses in the sector to help prepare them for the eventual increase in tourist arrivals in the country. Madam Speaker, growth is also expected in the agricultural sector. We expect a growth, Madam Speaker, growth rate of 2.75%. As my government continues its efforts to safeguard and promote production in this sector. We recognize the need for locally sourced alternatives to the food we import, as possible shortages and price escalations may occur in the future. Madam Speaker, we are keeping a watchful eye on global prices. As the surges filter through the economy, the implications of high and rising global prices for Montserrat are significant given our heavy dependency on imported foods. Price hikes in the U.S. economy, for which most of our imports are sourced, are directly transmitted to Montserrat. Madam Speaker, we will take every possible action within our capacity to cushion these effects should prices continue to escalate. I will reiterate that we will continue to redouble our efforts to build a resilient food security architect that can mitigate the distressing impacts of these exogenous shocks. In our thrust, Madam Speaker, for greater food security, we will continue to support local farmers by improving their methods of food production and the quality and volume of output they produce. With better connectivity through the government-supported rollout of fiber optic, Madam Speaker, an interconnected and empowered future awaits the people of Montserrat as we assume our position in the digital economy. Recognizing the vulnerability of Montserrat as a small island in the developing stage, we forge ahead with renewable energy initiatives towards making Montserrat a more climate-smart economy. Madam Speaker, the initial success and planned evolution of the Enterprise Development Scheme will be a major tool in assisting businesses and entrepreneurs to develop and diversify as the year progresses. My government believes in helping people to help themselves, and this is the cornerstone on which this program is built. Madam Speaker, I understand that while I speak about overall economic growth and the implementation of capital programs, the people of Montserrat will face difficult times this year. I'm fully aware of that, Madam Speaker. It is not speculation that inflation will come. As a matter of fact, it is already here and is expected to continue throughout 2022 unless something dramatically shifts in the geopolitical climate. However, Madam Speaker, while we are working on efforts to alleviate the hardship, I will not detail the plans that are being developed to alleviate the difficulties, as it would not be prudent. But I want the people of Montserrat to know that we are aware and working towards providing as much assistance as we can while remaining fiscally responsible. It is within this context that we look into this budget here with a sense of optimism despite the adversities we face. We remain committed to seeing the implementation and successful completion of our capital investment programs, which lay a solid foundation in our efforts to build a more sustainable and resilient country for the people of Montserrat. The lessons learned and resilience shown during this pandemic and the ongoing global issues are invaluable tools on our journey to restoring prosperity for our country. Madam Speaker, I now take us into the budget overview and highlights. Despite the challenges of the past year, I am proud of the achievements that we have made together as a people and a government. I now present a summary of some of those major highlights for 2021-2022. Capital achievements and project progress. Madam Speaker, the country can be proud of the progress that has been made in the deliverable of our major capital projects over the last year, including but not limited to the completion of preliminary designs and selection of the preferred option for the island's new national hospital, the procurement and the detailed designs and construction contract for the Little Bay Port Development Project, the resurfacing of the Johnny Osborne Airport within the predetermined 10 days window, despite the challenges of COVID-19, the main construction and cab installation for the new air traffic control tower, the completion of the new 750 kilowatt solar energy plant with battery storage in Lookout, the manufacturing of our new asphalt plant, which is partly delivered at this time. Madam Speaker, these achievements are, in spite of COVID-19 challenges, of contractor mobilization, access, and global supply chain shortages. We supported the successful presentation of investment proposals to the Montserrat Steering Committee for the funding of priority sewage works at Drummonds and Davy Hill. Geothermal wellheads will be maintained, Madam Speaker. The MSS toilet blocks to be accessible for persons with disability, all now funded within the separate program. The government of Montserrat has also successfully progressed a range of project investment proposals to the Resembid programs facility, including the areas of education, resilience, energy efficiency, and COVID-19 response. Madam Speaker, the Program Management Office continues to build capability in key areas of project and change management with local training across the public service, engage with the international project management community, and opportunities for professional accreditation. Access. Madam Speaker, access continues to play a very critical role in our economic sustainability and the curbing of the impact of COVID-19 on the island. We have taken the decision, Madam Speaker, to continue passengers' movement by air only while maintaining sea access for essential goods and services. During this financial year, airline tickets were subsidized and lifeline cargo services were delivered to our local businesses, facilitating imports and exports and ensuring value for money. Government will continue to assist the traveling public with subsidized airfares for as long as the budget will allow. Agriculture services and the environment. Madam Speaker, the Department of Agriculture has continued to work towards its goal to redevelop agriculture, both crops, livestock, and aquaculture, and the marine resources, to promote food security, satisfy local demand, and target specific markets for import, substitution, and export. This was achieved through a number of programs geared towards increasing population, including increasing production of specialized products, such as plantains, white potatoes, and onions. It also improves irrigation methods by providing farmers with appropriate tanks at subsidized rates. Madam Speaker, attention has also been placed on the promotion and support of semi-intensive small ruminant production, focusing on the use of the improved boarhead species, an excellent breed for meat and high offspring numbers. We will continue to maintain our egg production levels, significantly reducing our dependency on imports. In the marine environment, Madam Speaker, 5 young persons were successfully trained to scuba dive and received their PADI certificate, supporting data collection, disease identification, and treatment on the reefs. Madam Speaker, this stony tissue loss disease has been found on Montserrat in the coral reefs, and efforts to treat and limit the impact of this disease are ongoing. Turtle conservation also took high priority with the satellite tagging of turtles to monitor their movement and forage patterns and protecting the eggs to improve survival rates. We will continue to remain committed to education and stakeholder engagement and training. Madam Speaker, the Trade and Endangered Species Act was passed, and the Climate Change Policy and Action Plan were implemented to regulate the international trade of wildlife and wildlife products, and to enable Montserrat to become more resilient to the pressures of climate change. We will continue to promote the increase in production and consumption of local fruits and vegetables, and also ornamental plants production by continuing to provide plants to members of the public at reduced rates during National Tree Planting Day. Land and housing development. Madam Speaker, in 2021, we strengthened the structural integrity of several forced houses in the lookout area and improved the health and safety conditions of our citizens. We continue to focus on the vulnerable and a review of the social housing management framework has been undertaken. This was followed up with detailed design for social housing with the ultimate aim of promoting population growth and retention while providing solutions for the most vulnerable in our society. Madam Speaker, the completion of both exercises will underpin the business case to fund the next phase of housing development in Montserrat. Madam Speaker, out of 15 service residential lots that were allocated to qualified middle-income households as equity, I can proudly say that persons were able to access mortgages, resulting in 4 houses being completed within the previous year and another to commence construction shortly. This, Madam Speaker, is the effort of this government to assist local Montserratians to own their own home. Tourism development. Never remaining stagnant, Madam Speaker, the Tourism Division pivoted towards a destination management and marketing initiatives in 2021 to ensure that the island was competitive in its service deliverable and marketing communications. Madam Speaker, in partnership with the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association Education Foundation, we were able to improve the skills and knowledge of our local tour and taxi operators and tour guides to enable them to deliver quality service. Several attractions were upgraded, Madam Speaker, including improvements to the network of hiking trails to improve the overall safety and the user experience, and the construction of washroom facilities on the main beaches, with one at Marine Village to be fully equipped for persons with disabilities. Digital marketing, again, Madam Speaker, featured very prominently in 2021 on the Tourism Department, ensuring that Destination Montserrat enjoys a share of voice in the international marketplace through virtual trade shows, Meet the Media, Meet the Trade, destination promotion webinars, and a virtual press trip for North America. These events attracted journalists, travel writers, and bloggers from the USA and Canada. Madam Speaker, the Tourism Division has successfully aligned itself with some very strong and targeted media brand, namely National Geographic, Traveller UK, Wanderlust, and BBC Wildlife magazine in 2021. Advertising and editorial coverage in these publications will enhance destinations' promotion of the primary outdoor soft adventure niche market of hiking, birding, bird watching, and scuba diving in Montserrat. The division continues to promote the Remote Workers Program via social media and is currently working on the development of a new campaign which will combine the use of paid media, public relations, and social media. To date, Madam Speaker, 7 families comprising 20 persons have visited the island, taking advantage of the extended stay feature. It is imperative, Madam Speaker, that we capitalize on these accomplishments and work on the Tourism Department with renewed effort to increase visitors' arrival. During this year, we will reinstate the Tourism Board. For in doing so, Madam Speaker, additional support will be provided to the current staff. Energy and incentives. Madam Speaker, the government remains committed to providing cheaper, cleaner energy to its citizens. Energy audits have been conducted in private and public buildings to inform targeted strategies for more efficient energy consumption. We are also working towards the implementation of the appropriate regulatory framework to maximize our ability to develop indigenous energy resources. The tax exemption on the importation of hybrid vehicles has been extended for a further 3 years and will end in the same time as the tax exemption on electric vehicles. These, Madam Speaker, all contribute to a reduction in fossil fuel and our use of renewable energies, and to reduce our carbon emission. Madam Speaker, this government has ensured that an energy task force was established to recommend an optimized pathway for the development of green energy in Montserrat. The findings and recommendations are now before Cabinet for adoption. A new geothermal working group with representation from FCDO, OECS, and ARENA aims to drive towards the next phase of geothermal energy for Montserrat. ICT strategies and initiatives. Madam Speaker, work has continued to bridge the digital divide amongst our citizens on the island. For example, phones and training in their use were provided for the elderly residents to support their technical abilities and connectivity. And the development of the ICT Innovation Centre, a hub for innovation and technology, Madam Speaker, is steadily progressing. Under its ICT policy, Government invested in the adoption and use of ICT tools within our communities, including donations to the Montserrat Secondary School, St. Augustine Primary School, and the Methodist Church. ICT tools were also distributed to the general public as part of its adoption drive during ICT Week of activities. Work has also been progress towards the completion of the Data Protection Bill and the Copyright Bill to modernize the legal framework for our digital future. Human and social development. Madam Speaker, some government services have been digitally transformed to ensure business continuity, including the possibility of remote work. Madam Speaker, we continue to invest in our own and have, over the past year, awarded 5 scholarships, provided financial support to more than 50 students, and introduced asset centers and improved performance management across the service. Madam Speaker, recognizing the difficulties public servants who are pursuing studies while working have been experiencing, government provided them with increased financial support and study leave days as an incentive to encourage studies in specialized areas, which can be utilized both in the public and private sector. Recognize, Madam Speaker, the sacrifice that these persons are making to study at home. Hence, government is incentivizing them to continue their studies. Education, Madam Speaker. The education sector was tested this year with a variety of challenges to operations and continuity. The onset of COVID-19 pandemic created many setbacks and paused several transformative projects and initiatives. Staffing continues to be a challenge, but staff and stakeholders have rallied and shown great agility, exemplifying their flexibility to respond to the needs of our children and the country. Madam Speaker, we will be improving teaching and learning and providing a clear roadmap for the development of sports in Ireland. This work will be premised on a national curriculum and a national sports and recreational policy. Library services. The Montserrat Public Library continues to contribute to literacy and numeracy development, the preservation of culture, and provide access to lifelong learning opportunities for the people of Montserrat and beyond. Several programs were on offer by the library throughout the year. These include the Summer Reading Program, the Eliogana Festival of the Word, the Homework Help Program, and the Bring Your Dad and Come program. These programs are customized towards children and their perpetual development, so the library continues to provide a space for reading and reinforcing curricula from early childhood to adult. Health and social services. Madam Speaker, health remains a priority for public policy worldwide, and that is no different here in Montserrat. This government remains committed to transforming our healthcare sector to build resiliency within the system, as well as ensure that the approaches used are robust, integrated, and equitable. The government, along with FCDO, remains resolute to working collaboratively under the separate program to move towards the more permanent home for the Glendon Hospital. Within the past year, Madam Speaker, Article 25 produced the 30% preliminary design after in-depth consultation with health professionals, specialists, expert bodies, and other stakeholders. Additionally, the government launched the pre-qualification and invitation to tender for the detailed phase of the project. The project will be awarded by the end of this financial year, with mobilization expected very early in the first quarter. In addition, the Ministry of Health and its partners have engaged with FCDO to ascertain the equipment required to outfit the new hospital and to identify the appropriate funding channels and potential procurement routes for these equipments. Primary health care. Madam Speaker, we have risen to the challenge of managing the local impacts and complexities of the global pandemic. Following the emergence of the first case on Ireland in March 2020, expert medical advice has been provided, as well as an assurance that the island was adequately prepared to manage any outbreaks among the population. Subsequent to the dispatching of samples for testing at the CARFA laboratory in Trinidad, Madam Speaker, and with the assistance of the FCDO and Public Health England, the island was eventually able to conduct on-island testing using the closed PCR testing platform. This was a major achievement for the island, and we are now able to produce results on an accelerated timeline. Madam Speaker, at the onset of the second wave in February 2021, we were better placed to manage the testing of persons identified during contact tracing, while at the same time ensuring that the needs of the traveling public were met. On the secondary health care, Madam Speaker, I am pleased to say that we have completed the work on the facilities to accommodate the open system for COVID-19 testing within the fourth quarter of the 2020-21 financial year. The facilities are comprised of 3 shipping containers that were retrofitted to meet the standards required for the open system modality. During the first quarter of the 2021-2022 financial year, the PCR testing facility at the Glendon Hospital was officially commissioned, which coincided with the visit of 2 officials from PHE and FCDO. Madam Speaker, this heralds a milestone achievement for the government of Montserrat, as the island was better positioned to respond to an immediate and future testing needs, not only as they relate to COVID-19, but also the potential to introduce new tests, such as dengue, chikungunya, and paternity tests. This government has significantly invested in the care of its elderly as well. In order to facilitate the structural changes to incorporate the relevant testing and other requirements to deal with the outbreak, the Magazine Memorial Home was transferred to the Golden Years facility. We will continue, Madam Speaker, to ensure that all residents enjoy a safe environment. The government continues to build on its relationship with the Cuban Madam Speaker, the government continues to build on its relation with the Cuban government to ensure that essential services are readily available through the island's health system. We currently have access to a 10-member contingent consisting of an obstetrician, gynecologist, a pediatrician, a physician specialist, a physiotherapist, and 6 nurses. The impact of this professional augmentation, Madam Speaker, has resulted in a number of benefits. We have cleared the patient backlog. We have seen a reduction in the number of cases referred overseas. These are also filled some vacancies that was long being awaiting to be filled. The government, Madam Speaker, is keen to maintain this valuable cooperation agreement with the Republic of Cuba for key areas of our healthcare deliverable. Social services. Madam Speaker, the Social Services Department responded to the needs of the most vulnerable in society during the outbreak. Priority child justice legislation, which seeks to guide the treatment of youths who interface with the legal system, will be brought before this Honourable House in the coming financial year. Work has also advanced on the national policy for older persons, which will be agreed to during this year. Security. On the security, Madam Speaker, the Police and Fire Rescue Service. Madam Speaker, the safety of the citizens of Montserrat remains the top priority of our government. And it should not go unnoticed that the Royal Montserrat Police Service has made significant strides in combating serious crimes. Major improvements were recorded this year, including a 25% reduction in overall crimes and a 35% decrease in detected fraud. Madam Speaker, in this age of technological advances, I am pleased to say that my government supports the modernization of key equipment and operations within the police service, and as evidenced by the recent acquisition of state-of-the-art radio equipment and the operationalization of the police radio room for the 21st century, and has operationalized the police radio room for the 21st century. It will also improve the response time to calls by the public to both the police and the fire department for assistance. Concessions and incentives. Madam Speaker, over the course of this year, my government introduced and extended programs to benefit individuals and businesses during these challenging times. Some of these include, Madam Speaker, the Returning Menstruation Concession Program, which was modernized and condensed. Home built for sale or renewal was also modernized. Development of private homes, redevelopment of homes in Zone C, that's Cork, Richmond, Foxes Bay, and Delvins area. The Christmas Barrel Program continued, and the Christmas Decoration Program. Madam Speaker, each of these initiatives continue to bring relief to the intended audience, and we will continue to review and improve as needs arise. Madam Speaker, I now turn to the budget outturn. Madam Speaker, the overall recurrent budget, the overall recurrent revenue for 2021-2022 was budgeted at $134,400,000. Overall recurrent expenditure was budgeted at $136,400,000. This, Madam Speaker, represents a budget deficit of $2 million. However, total recurrent revenue is projected to be $134,900,000, and overall recurrent expenditure is projected to be $134,900,000. At the end of this year, Madam Speaker, this represents a projected balanced budget rather than the $2 million deficit that was budgeted, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, within the context of the balanced budget, my cabinet took the decision to finance some programs to support ongoing work within the government and to deal with some emergency items that were identified. It is instructive to note that any intervention made with these available funds must be able to be fully expended before the end of this financial year. To this end, Madam Speaker, we were able to procure a fire tender for the airport. The current piece of equipment is failing mechanically and must be replaced to ensure that the aerodrome remains functional. We reallocated funds from identified fiscal space within the budget to aid the vulnerable in meeting the electricity and water bills for 1 month. We reallocate funds from identified fiscal space within the budget to aid the vulnerable in meeting their electrical and water bills for 1 month. We undertake an assessment of the Montserrat Utilities Limited generation plant to enable us to derive a more sustainable solution to the electricity issues. We provide funding, Madam Speaker, to support the maintenance of a number of social houses. We also provide increase in the social protection and pension funds. And we increase the amount provided for revenue refunds and increase in the amount for hospital supplies. Fiscal policy and outlook, Madam Speaker, recurrent expenditure, 2022-2023. Madam Speaker, we have been able to maintain the same level of aid for the upcoming financial year. And while this may seem a defeatist approach to some, it has taken a lot of dedication and commitment on the part of local and FCO team to be able to present a case to, at a minimum, maintain the level of support within the context of an overall significant reduction in the ODA funds. Madam Speaker, we have been able to negotiate £23,600,000 for budget support and an additional £520,000 or £52.52 million. Sorry, let me read again, please. We have been able, Madam Speaker, to negotiate £23,600,000 for budget support, an additional £520,000 to support a one-off payment to the Montserrat Social Security Fund. Madam Speaker, we wish at this time to thank our benefactors and the FCDO for presenting this case and for this increase level of support to the island and for understanding the need to maintain the integrity of the Social Security Fund, and by extension, provide the people of Montserrat with assurance of financial income during their retirement. Having had an early indication that the best solution in the circumstances would be a flatline budget, Madam Speaker, we sought to make the best use of the resources that we have. We committed to presenting a balanced and a timely budget in line with our financial legislation, and we have. Madam Speaker, a number of difficult decisions had to be taken, but we rose to the challenge and made those decisions. The budget was rationalized, and we were able to reallocate up to $3.8 million of funds within the current allocation to meet the cost of priority areas. And these include, Madam Speaker, funds for maintenance of the Heliconia Star, $274,000. Madam Speaker, this is a routine maintenance of the patrol vessel to ensure that it meets the standard. Without this overhaul, we run the risk of having it deemed unusable, which will expose us to the risk of being unable to operate both ports of entry. $800,000, Madam Speaker, a recurrent cost, which shows a progressive measure as members of the service reach retirement age. This is for pension, Madam Speaker. For pension, we allocated $800,000, and this is a recurrent cost, which shows a progressive increase in members of the service reach retirement age. So as people retire, Madam Speaker, that budget line increases, and so we have to keep on topping up that budget. We increased the utilities, we contributed to increase to utilities, rent, communication expenses, and emergency expenditure, $300,000. Support to the Ministry of Health, staffing through the Cuban program, and local staff, social protection funds, including social welfare, to deal with increased demand and support to the quarantine management unit, $2,500,000. Madam Speaker, we are aware that there are a number of other needs across government, and we will continue to source funds to deal with them, including continuing to negotiate a larger aid package as we go forward. Budget estimates, 2022-2023. Madam Speaker, I will now present the estimates of recurrent revenue and expenditure for the 2022-2023 financial year. A total of $140,200,000 is, Madam Speaker, the estimated recurrent revenue and expenditure for this year. Recurrent revenue, Madam Speaker, 2022-2023, Madam Speaker, the revenue estimate for 2022-2023 is a 4.4% increase over 2021-2022. Approved revised estimate of $134,300,000. The estimated revenue from local source is $52,200,000. So $52,200,000 compared to $48,200,000 $200,000 in 2021-2022. Total local revenue will be generated from two main areas, Madam Speaker: tax revenue and a non-tax revenue. Those are fees, fines, permits, rents, interest, and licenses. Budget support from FCDO, Madam Speaker, is £24,100,000, or $88 million, which is 63% of our current budget. 63% of our current budget. The ring-fence areas, which includes access subsidy, is an allocation of £500,000 or $1,800,000, and technical cooperation and capacity building with an allocation of £2,700,000 or $9,900,000. The recurrent budget reflects a number of policies and programs aimed at moving government towards fiscal sustainability. The recurrent budget is used to facilitate salaries, wages, and operational expenses of the ministries and departments across government. Our intention as a government, Madam Speaker, is to lay the groundwork by putting the relevant systems, policies, and legislations in place that will ensure that we have something to look forward to. As our theme suggests, Madam Speaker, investing today to secure our future. So, Madam Speaker, it may not seem to be an explosion of events which are tangible and visible, but investment, Madam Speaker, is never short-term, but it is sustained, and that is our goal. It is sustainable, and that is our goal. General public service. Madam Speaker, 30.7% has been allocated to general public service. This includes all functions related to public service management, legal services, and the legislature. To guide these services, Madam Speaker, a new sustainable development plan will be in place by the end of the upcoming financial year, and will serve as the overarching plan that will guide the development of Montserrat for the next 15 years. This plan encapsulates the vision, goal, and strategies expounded by the people of this island, and is sustained by an implementation strategy and monitoring and evaluation framework which will measure the progress. We will continue, Madam Speaker, to compile the relevant statistical data to be able to report and inform policy. We will also be finalizing plans to commence the implementation of the decennial population and housing census during this year. Procurement. Madam Speaker, strengthening procurement practices while increasing capacity remains one of this government's top priorities. This is why the work continues in collaborating with CDB on finalizing the procurement law and supporting regulations. My government plans to reestablish the Departmental Tenders Board as part of its mandate to enhance procurement practices while allowing the Procurement Board to play a more strategic role, particularly in long-term planning and oversight of developing purchases. The new procurement approach will also involve the reintroduction of the restricted tendering procedure, along with a two-stage tendering allowing the use of framework agreements, limited tendering, and reverse auctions. Economic affairs, Madam Speaker. A further 33.1% of the budget has been allocated to economic affairs, which includes access, fiscal development, trade and finance functions. In terms of tax administration, in this last year, we have seen challenges in the administration of income and corporation tax due to the COVID pandemic and the implementation of our workforce. My government remains committed to reducing the backlog of outstanding tax assessment and the migration of all taxpayers' information from paper-based records to the tax administration computer system, which will continue in the coming year. We will also continue to improve all systems across government and advance legislation to facilitate the improved administration of income tax, company and withholding tax on Montserrat, including the Tax Administration Bill, the Income and Corporation Tax Act, Consequential Amendment Bill, and the Tax Compliance Act Amendment Bill. Access, Madam Speaker, informed by a consultative process with the public on Montserrat's air and sea access, this administration is committed to an access strategy that secures strategic and value-added connectivity within the world. Madam Speaker, we will make every effort to do so through a rapid recovery path with a higher capacity transportation mode between outer service, by opening up a new and alternative gateway via St. Martin as a contingency access arrangement to Montserrat, and by establishing links to other neighboring hubs such as Nevis, Guadeloupe, with the expansion of the island surface. Madam Speaker, as travel demand to Montserrat increases, the reintroduction of a value-driven passenger ferry service is also an integral part of that strategy. Education, social protection, health, culture, and recreation receives 25.4% of the budget. And Madam Speaker, we'll continue to train teachers and students to adapt to a blended learning environment, and have been successful in a bid for funds from the EU RESIMID program to assist in transition of digital transformation. We are investing in the Montserrat Secondary School infrastructure. And resource will be mobilized through the SEPRIG to address the teaching quality, science lab resources, and to support positive student behavior. Future development from 2022-2023 onward will see the library seeking Future development from 2021-23 onwards will see the library seeking to complement its current literacy program through the extension of the children's library space, improve space for individual and group study, as well as increase resources for our teachers and students. The design and future development of our proposed computer literacy program with a state-of-the-art computer lab will function as both an internet cafe and a training site. Madam Speaker, the library will also work to safeguard and preserve historical materials that are in jeopardy of deterioration. This will eventually lead to the establishment of an island-wide archive service, which will benefit Montserrat's cultural and economic development. Community, youth, and sports. Madam Speaker, we face the very real challenge of youth unemployment, exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Youth Apprenticeship Program is targeted to ensuring that most of our young people can be gainfully employed. Madam Speaker, a community development unit will be established with a gender desk and a disability desk through projects and grants to advance support services and key policies for these important persons in our sorry, Madam Speaker. Sorry, Madam Speaker. Thank you, please. I'll go back. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you very much. Okay, that's better. Good. Let me speak again, community, youth, and sports. Madam Speaker, we face the very real challenge of youth unemployment, exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. And the Youth Apprenticeship Program is targeted to ensuring that most of our young people can be gainfully employed. The program will be further developed to expose our youth to seeking employment in areas such as carpentry, masonry, air conditioning repairs, and plumbing. Madam Speaker, a community development unit will be established with a gender desk and a disability desk through project and grants to advance support services and key policies for these important persons in our society. We are currently considering a partnership with the MMSA to develop the first racetrack on island. That is the Montserrat Motorsports Association. To develop the first racetrack on island. This will give us a much-needed home for the MMSA and create economic development and trade opportunities. Capital investment and project delivery. Madam Speaker, this budget incorporates both existing and new projects that will benefit this country immediately, up to a total of $53,900,000. Expenditure under these programs is only possible through donor contributions from the UK government, that is the FCDO, of $9,800,000, or 18.3% of the capital budget. The European Union of $22,800,000, 42.4%. UKCIF through CDB of $20 million, or 37%. Resemed EU of $800,000, or 1.5%. Our local budget, Madam Speaker, of $200,000 or 0.4%, and other funding partners of $200,000 or 0.4%. The coming year will see further investment and progress in transformational projects across ministries and departments, including the detailed designs and initial construction work for the Little Bay Port Development Project, the completion of detailed designs for the new hospital at Glendon, and early site preparation works will also commence this year, Madam Speaker, on that project. This will be supported by other health transformational projects, such as a new health information system. The completion and commissioning of the new air traffic control tower project will take place. The structural and internal renovation of blocks L and M at Montserrat Secondary School, together with the completion of toilet blocks renovation, the completion of projects Lightspeed, the customer voucher system to support all premises in Montserrat connecting to fiber optic broadband, the commissioning of the new asphalt plant to support our road projects, the completion of social housing designs to support the future business case for investment, the completion of urgent works at the Drummonds and Davy Hill waste treatment sites, the completion and design of a new volcano interpretation center, and the completion of wellhead maintenance on the geothermal assets. Madam Speaker, as we continue to gain momentum with our capital programs, I am pleased to announce that work has already begun on the development of the next phase, the next transformational business case for UK investment. That work has begun. Madam Speaker, we will not sit and wait. As a government, we are proactive, and we are putting together items which will be required for the next business case to be put to the FCDO. This will build on the capabilities and outcome of SEPRIG 1 and seek to turbocharge economic stimulus and growth through targeted investment in key sectors to build the Montserrat of tomorrow. We must move from an agenda of merely rebuilding lost or aging assets towards self-determined priorities of social ambition and economic pride, preserving what is best about our island, investing in our communities, whilst moving towards the 21st century innovation and a niche market investment. We will use the next business case to engage the public in this new agenda for growth. The PMO will continue to focus on capability development and training to enhance local capacity for project planning and delivery. Madam Speaker, the total recurrent budget for 2022-2023 is budgeted at $140,200,000. The capital expenditure, Madam Speaker, for 2022-23 is estimated to amount of $53,900,000. The total budget allocation for this fiscal year, 2022-2023, is $194,100,000. And the allocations are as follows. The Office of the Deputy Governor, $32,100,000, or 22.9% of the overall budget. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Development, $26,500,000, or 18.9% of the overall budget. The Ministry of Health and Social Services, $23,200,000, or 16.6%. Office of the Premier, $13,100,000, or 9.4%. The Ministry of Commerce and Works, $13,100,000, or 9.3%. Ministry of Education, Youth Affairs and Sports, $11,400,000, or 8.1%. The Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Housing and the Environment, $6,400,000, or 4.5% of the budget. The Royal Montserrat Police Service, $8,100,000, 5.8%. And Madam Speaker, the balance of $6,300,000, or 4.5% of the budget, is allocated among other services of the government, which includes legislature, judicial services, as well as the Office of the Auditor General. Madam Speaker, for ease of reference, the full set of allocations is detailed in the estimates of revenue and expenditure which was tabled in this Honourable House. The document presented is quite comprehensive and represents the following: a statement of macroeconomic outlook and policy, revenue and expenditure estimates, interest and debt, service charges, and loan repayments. We've also laid budget statements for a few arm's-length agencies or statutory bodies for information. Madam Speaker, this action of laying arm's-length budget and the estimate is a legal requirement, and we will work hard to ensure that the documents for all agencies are included in the next budget. These agencies, most of whom are self-financing, poses a contingent liability to government, and it is important, therefore, that we are aware of the activities and financial operational status. Madam Speaker, this document also includes the goals and objectives which aligns the ministries and departments' allocation, a report of measured progress or achieved goals, and an indication of targets for the upcoming year. Upcoming years. It is instructive to note, Madam Speaker, that based on the monitoring and evaluation framework and the detailed information or performance indicators presented, we have successfully achieved most of our targets. And to that, we are thankful. Madam Speaker, in order for us to achieve this year's success, there are a number of players in the game. And so at this point, Madam Speaker, I wish to place on record this government's appreciation to all of those who supported us during this time. Many thanks to the United Kingdom government, to the Foreign and Commonwealth Office, the European Union, other development partners, the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, His Excellency the Governor, Honourable Ministers and Governments and Parliamentary Secretary, the Honourable Attorney General, the Honourable Financial Secretary, the Honourable Deputy Governor, all accounting officers and heads of department, managers of statutory organizations, private sector organizations, and the general public, and the public service, for your unwavering support in helping us to achieve our goals. We say thank you very much. Madam Speaker, together we can. Together we will. I thank you. Somebody take a motion, yeah.
I recognize the Honourable Minister of Agriculture.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the second reading of the Appropriation Bill of 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to move a motion for the adjournment of this Honourable House until Monday, April 4th, 2022.
I recognize the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, I rise to second the motion for the adjournment of this Honourable House until the Monday, 4th of April, 2022.
It has been moved and seconded that this Honourable House stands adjourned until Monday, April 4th at 9 a.m. All those in favour, please say aye. All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. This Honourable House now stands adjourned until Monday, April 4th.